to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from here, and this has been like a therapy session.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. We're at the Shields Marshall Fight Week, take 2. I'm joined by...
What a turnout. It's like in a cinema, popcorn, sweet and salty, man, drinks, pizza. Good.
Where's the pizza?
Pizza downstairs.
Really?
Good build up. They've done well. You know, to say this was postponed 5 weeks ago and now to get it back on again, get all the players back into play again. It's a good show. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I'm going to give you the option now.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about this fight week, or do you want to talk about what happened last week first?
Well, I'll start with this fight week.
Let's talk about this fight week. That's the right thing to do.
Yeah. So this fight week, I think it's 1957, Barbara Buttrick, first women's world champion, now lives in Miami. Trailblazer for all these girls coming ahead now. How hard she had to fight to get into this position is ridiculous. It's a shame she's not here, actually, to see this. Now you see these fighters there. Boxing is, in the UK for female boxing, is the hub. It's a legacy show because on the bill you're seeing future and present superstars of women's boxing. And I mean, you know, there's fights that are not even shown on TV, on the stream, that you've got potential headliners there on that as well. So to me, I think the whole build-up, 15,000 tickets gone, still the same appetite and atmosphere, people buzzing for it. We've just seen Clarissa and Savannah get at it. I think Savannah's really found her cool, whereas Clarissa, she knows how to just push that button on Clarissa. And so I think personalities, let's see how they clash when the fight comes on.
It's mad, isn't it? You mentioned like 15,000 tickets, and you wouldn't even sell 15 tickets for a fight of yours back in the day.
Hey, sell them. I used to give those away, man. That's what I'm saying. But this is so intriguing. But the people that are coming for tickets for this are not usual boxing fans. They're not usually the sort of people that would come to a fight and say, I want to see that fight. You've got CEOs, you've got everyone left, right and centre, just because it's such an iconic event.
Somebody told me not the other day, but like a couple of years ago actually, that when you were trying to push tickets and you struggled because you was quite a boring fighter, but what you used to do was, can I just finish first? So what you used to do is you used to give the ticket and also a naked photo of yourself saying, look, have that as well.
I used to do what?
Give a naked photo with the ticket.
No, it wasn't naked. It was partially naked. It was early days of OnlyFans.
Oh, really? But no, this event here, and I was talking to Adam Smith about it earlier on actually, the fact that within 5 weeks a show of this magnitude was kind of rescheduled, venue was done at the same venue, the same fighters, like on the home side, it was done. That was credit really for that.
Lightning striking twice in the same spot. These fighters trained 12 weeks for that particular day. Unfortunately, I personally think the fight probably should have gone on that day. I've shown respect to say to these fighters. It's the only sport where individuals have to.
It shouldn't have gone on.
It
shouldn't have gone on.
For a particular day, and they could have honour Her Majesty to say, look, you know what, we're doing this, we've done this and shown respect, and done it. Other sporting events went on, but they
combat sport though.
Yeah, but they decided to make the decision, say, you know, we're going to pull this. It was hard on the fighters, and I totally get that. I understand that. And now they've had to turn it around again. And these individuals, it may actually change the course of 1 or 2 results. Because if you're a fighter having to get down to the weight, it's hard enough as it is. But then when you've got to peak up and then peak back down again in such a short space of time, it can affect your natural strength. If you're a fighter, you'll understand what I'm saying. And so this is why it could change the course of a couple of events come Saturday night. But either way, you know what, it's still the same show.
Yeah, I think you make a very valid point in what you're saying, because it's something I've spoke to about people this week, including the fighters in like even Mayer, Baumgardner, etc., about the short space of 5 weeks. How do you kind of not over peak yourself, overtrain yourself, over peak, etc. in that short space of time.
Right, you're better off undertraining than overtraining. If you overtrain, you've got nothing left to give. So when you've trained for that day to get to that weight and the fight doesn't come off, so you've got to come out of that dip, you can't overtrain, so you've got to rest that week, but not rest too much because it's going to be hard to get back again. Then peak up slowly again to get your peak to just taper down for fight week. So third week in this, they have to get to their peak again and taper down, keep it steady, and also keep an eye on the weight as well. And it'll be very, very hard. And I think you'll see certain fighters find it physically, they'll not be as strong as it would normally be. In fact, the ones that are struggling to make the weight, one or two of them like Shannon and Caroline, they make the weight pretty easy, you know, so to them, you know, and the gym fit as well. This is one of those fights, if you're a sort of fighter that's not usually gym fit, and then you just turn up for a fight, this will be an absolute nightmare for you. If you're a fighter that's gym fit, then it won't be that much of a problem for you.
I can't. Oh, there's Caroline there.
Speaking of the devil.
He's just talking you up, Caroline. He said you're going to be a world champion within 12 months. We are looking forward to this week's event because, yeah, it was an unfortunate situation before, but it was out of everyone's hands because of the situation regarding the royal family and the Queen, which was completely understandable. But 5 weeks on, it's about this week, and considering kind of what we'll talk about this in a second as well, what happened last week, but this is a positive moment for British boxing this week.
Without a doubt, positive. It's a legacy. It's a standout. 15,000 people coming to watch a sport where when it first came to the point of women fighting, people didn't want to watch it. Promoters publicly said, I'm not interested, I don't want to know. Then all of a sudden they've had to catch up with the times where the fans are saying, yeah, you know what, I actually like this. You know, people just got to grow up and think, right, I've got to move with the times. Now you've got some... women's boxing, at first you had the outstanding ones and the not so good. Now that mix is coming. Now you've got some good fighters coming through and outstanding fighters coming through.
Do you know what? It's mad because, like, see, years ago when people were more sceptical about women's boxing, I was looking at the people talking about it thinking, these women that you're kind of mocking or saying that, oh, it's women's boxing, etc., they would batter you, so what are you talking about? And some of them would give a lot of men a run for their money.
I remember being at the 2012 Olympics. The best fight in the whole Olympics was Savannah Marshall against Tasha. Best fight out of a lot of them. And I was with Adam, I said, Adam, you know what, that's the future, that is right there and then. These girls left heart and soul in the ring. It was wicked. And now you see it again. You saw Kate Taylor. You see these two, top of the bill. You know, even Chief Support is going to be a mad one. So to me, I think you're seeing fighters going in there with the ignorance and passion instead of cool. So they just want to get in there and fight. There's no gameplay. They just want to fight.
It is an interesting one for you. Someone that genetically can't produce a male. You. You've got all daughters.
Nothing wrong with that.
Would you have an issue?
I'm a real man.
What?
Just shows I'm a real man.
I'm a real man. I've got one daughter, so.
You got one daughter?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, I got 3. Yeah.
Would you entertain the fact if any of your daughters wanted to turn into boxing?
You know what, boxing, I know the positive effect boxing has had on people's lives, individuals, in and outside the ring. And I think it creates a discipline, self-belief, achievement. And so if they wanted to do it, I'd say do it. My niece actually started boxing. She had her first fight in Brixton at Miguel's boxing gym 2 weeks ago. She lost. And she was really disappointed in the loss. And I saw the fight. And I had to go through history. I said, look, I only won 3 amateur fights. The best thing could have happened to you because offensively she's on point, defensively she isn't. And she was absolutely heartbroken. And I saw it, I thought, yes. So if my daughter was doing that, I'd give them an honest opinion and say, you know what, go for it. And if I think they're going to get hurt, they shouldn't do it, I'd be straight with them. Male or female, that's how I'd drop it. You know me. I know.
I'm not sure I agree with that though. So you're all right with the possibility of your daughter getting punched in the face?
As long as she punches them back, yeah. That's how we roll, baby.
You're a fighter. It's a different mentality. I'm going to steer my daughter away from the boxing industry. All my daughter's going to do is maybe one day she's going to hold this mic and talk to like overachievers like you.
Ain't no man putting his hand on my child without him getting it back so they can fight, you know, and then that's how it should be.
Okay. Right. I know you've done a couple of videos this week on IFL as well. Well, in the last sort of 7 days, should we say, regarding the situation regarding Conor Benn and Eubank.
Yeah.
We don't really know a lot more different than we did a few days ago. A few comments have come out with Eddie and pretty much Eddie. We saw Conor Benn put a statement out yesterday saying, you know, I hope the apology is allowed to disrespect. So, I mean, what is your take on that currently with the situation?
Conor Benn is one of those fighters that is loved by everybody in boxing. So nobody wants to throw him under the bus. But facts are, a banned substance was found in his system. Facts. Doesn't matter what Eddie said, I said, or anybody said. Facts are. Let the British Boxing Board of Control deal with that. They did what they deemed to be right. Conor Benn has been found to have a substance in his system. Let him speak it out, and then let's comment then, because speculation's a bitch, you know. And unfortunately, people think you say you've said stuff that I haven't said. People try and distract you off the actual facts and start throwing stones and mud at everything else. Let the board deal with it. That's not our. This is about this week. Let the board, let Conor, let Eddie deal with that sort of stuff, because that's their hot potato. It's not our issue. And when it all comes out, then we can comment on it fairly. But you can't really say anything. I know as much as you do. I saw it at the same time you did. And it's sad and frustrating for our sport. But let's get the facts first before we throw our 2 pennies with it.
You make a good point there, because the Dillian Whyte situation 3 years ago, Dillian Whyte was cleared of all charges after a situation he had before the Oscar Rivas fight, and he was cleared of everything. So yeah, exactly. That's what Eddie's saying. Just wait until all the facts are out. Exactly. Make your judgment from that. Yeah,
exactly. I think the only difference was with the Dillian Whyte situation, we found out afterwards, and that was the only issue. So with that, you know, I just think this isn't our issue. You know, this is an issue that Eddie and Conor have got to deal with, and the boxing board have got to deal with.
Johnny, just to finish off on Chris Eubank Sr. was on TalkSport today with some points regarding his son, which he's entitled to do. I'm sure you heard it with Spencer Oliver and Simon Jordan. What did you make of his comments today? He said that them comments weren't strong, that he's talking about his son. He's got a point, hasn't he, surely?
Listen, you are a father just like I am. And unfortunately, a parent should never see the passing of their own son. Chris has. Chris doesn't want to ever see that again. He's felt something me and you have never felt. So I understand where his heart's coming from, where his emotions coming from. So we're not in a position to comment on how he looks at the safety of his kids. He's speaking as a father. So many people watching that, hearing what he's saying, you can't get a man stick. He's already lost a child. So if the fear's there and he thinks his child's in danger, he has every right in the world to say what he's going to say. And nobody has a right to front him out with that. And I feel for him. I do. I'm heartbroken for him. When you hear the man, you know, upset on recording, it's heartbreaking. But we can't talk, man. We can't talk. We got kids. We haven't lost a kid. He has. So therefore, that fear is always going to be with him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't have any problem with any concerns, even prior to all this, what Senior had to say, because that's his son. It's not your son, my son, that's his son.
Yeah, exactly. It's entertainment for us. That's his child. He produced that young man. You know, so I understand. I totally get where it's coming from. So when people are trying to give him stick or saying he's out of order, he isn't out of order. He's speaking as a father. We know him as Chris Eubank, the warrior. We know him as Chris Eubank, this former world champion. He's still a dad. Chris is someone's son. He's got kids himself. So I understand exactly where he's coming from. And I feel for him. I do feel for him. So I can see what he's saying. I can see the fear. I can see the anguish. So to me, I haven't got really anything negative to say about that.
Absolutely not. Johnny, let's kind of finish off by coming back to this weekend. And it's a shame that there are idiots like me that are bringing up this stuff from last week, because this week deserves its own credit of what's going on at the O2 on Saturday. And I think it will produce. I think that's the main thing, isn't it? That aside from kind of Shields, Marshall and Mayhem, Bab Gardner, the whole card will produce on Saturday for a positive life of the sport.
It's going to be headline news. It'll be headline news, and yesterday's debacle is yesterday's debacle. This is headline news this weekend coming along. I think we're going to see some cracking fights, some amazing fights, some proper headliners. I think we're going to attract so many more different types of fans, and we're going to uncover some new champions as well.
Any in particular?
You just watch the bill. Watch the bill, man. I'm telling you now, there are going to be a couple of upsets. I didn't say one, there's going to be a couple of upsets.
I don't know, I've taken notes what you say on these things. Johnny Nelson, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV, and we'll catch up with you at some point this week, I'm assuming. And,
Sweet.
Yeah, keep it real. Always be you.
I'm in.
I'm going to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife for saying completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.